Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on October 13th, 2025 at approximately 8 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's calling to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I personally guide just about every decision I make by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you as they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, we are looking at meditative techniques tonight. Okay, but something I do want to point out. Okay, when we look at meditation, whether you want to call it meditation, positive affirmations, prayer, whatever, they are all the same thing. They are just a different word. Okay, and I know there are many of you involved in various religions that are going to sit there and say meditation is not prayer, and that's okay. Remember, everything on this stream is literally my opinion. Okay, but if you'll bear with me, okay, I want to show you something. When we take a look at prayer, okay, now I do not know all the different rituals of all the different religions that are out there, or all the different spiritual paths. The only two I know of before I get to that, we have Operation Shutdown is in with the gold. How you doing, Operation? And Cowie, you are in with the silver. And of course, we do have Storm here, who is doing, he takes care of all the tech. He's the main moderator in back that takes care of all technology. And thankfully he does, because I'll tell you, I'm a shambles at it. And then we have in the room, we have L.A. Moon. And she is the one that asks questions if the conversation stalls or if people aren't asking questions. L.A. Moon does keep an eye on what's going on in the chat room and, prompts things, and takes care of the problems. And of course, as is shown at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a whole pile you'll see 4 rules. Those 4 rules are black and white. In this case, they're blue and white. But if you suddenly find yourself outside the stream, odds are you broke one of them. Okay, now that is done by my moderators at my request. Mike, how we doing? You are in with the bronze. This is Mike Jones coming in. And then we have Cosmic Joe's Chronicles in with honorable mention. Hopefully things are going well on your end. Now, understanding, there is a link between religion, positive affirmations, spirituality, and meditation. And here's the way it works. Now, I'm Christian by my own definition. I believe in God and I believe in Christ. Okay, do understand that I am not here to tell anybody which way to go. Okay, to me, it's simple. I'm lazy. I call my higher power, or my source of inspiration, I call it God because I'm lazy. Okay, but in the Christian religion, the way I grew up, okay, you always put your hands together, okay, to pray. Most people put them together and lock their fingers. I'm looking at the wrong screen here, because that's going to confuse things. Most people lock their fingers, or they'll just put them like this. Okay, now here's the thing. With meditation, if you take your hands, okay, to start the meditative process, take your hands, put them palms towards each other, and you bring them within a half an inch to a quarter inch of each other. Now you'll feel something between those hands, but you'll notice the positioning. Okay, when you pray, most people put their hands right together. it still provides the same link. But because you got tactile input from the hands themselves, you may find it harder to feel the energy. Woo Rider, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, what you're doing, what you're looking for, is to create a link between you and, and the planet upon which you're standing. That is what helps keep, and let's face it, without the planet, you're pretty much dead. Okay? Wipe the atmosphere out, we're hooked. So when you're meditating, you put your hands towards you and get yourself in a comfortable position. If you do this when you're tired, you'll get a great sleep. But if you're looking to actually meditate, pick a comfortable position to sit in while you're awake and very alert. Now, personally, I don't use the lotus position. I find dislocating both my knees is not that comfortable. But what you're doing is you put your hands towards each other, you feel that energy running. Run one thought through your mind. Heal. Now, what that will do is it will set up an energy pattern between your hands, okay, and running through your entire body. Now, the nice part about it is when you pray, you do the same thing. But that energy, you're focusing on just that word heal. Now, you start your hands at the 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch mark. But as the energy gets stronger, separate the hands a bit. I keep flopping over because I can't keep two screens open. Ouch. Okay. What you're going to feel is you track the energy running through your body, and you literally picture yourself connected right to the core of the earth. Okay. I'm going to go into that a little more in detail here. But here's the thing. If you pray with your hands together, you're already, presumably, sitting with your feet on the floor and your backside on a chair. You're already grounded. Now, there is another religion, and do not ask me the name of it. There's a lot of religions, a lot of different rituals. Okay. I know with some religions, they will run around, they will literally dance while they're praying. Or while they're meditating, in all fairness. Okay. But again, the thought is the starting point. When you vocalize, you're drawing that energy a little more physically into the real world. So by praying out loud, you're connecting yourself to the ground. You're also meditating. It's the same thing. Okay. Now there is a religion, I don't know which one it is, where you get down on your hands and knees and you place both hands on the ground and your forehead. Well, let us understand something. The forehead is your third eye chakra. It is the energy conduit that connects you to the earth itself. Okay, and again, you'll notice people are doing the same thing by taking their hands and putting them on the ground. Okay, and then touching the third eye to the ground while praying, while meditating. You're drawing that energy up to you to help you manifest a better life. Now, as you probably have found out, if you're concentrating on hurting somebody else or hindering somebody else, it likely doesn't go that well for you. Now, I am all for whatever ritual, as long as it follows the 3 karmic laws. Use whatever ritual you feel is necessary, or whatever words, whatever affirmation is required. What do we got here? I'm just double checking to make sure I don't miss something. I'll tell you, Cosmic, your Your meditation technique to have near-death experiences is so much safer than the one I use. Of course, I don't think mine qualifies as meditation. But when if you're laying on your stomach, again, you're still connecting with the ground. And this is why I say the method you use works like a charm. Now, what I do is very simple. I start in the position we talked about, in a comfortable position, hands towards each other, and the one word, heal, running through my mind. Now, here's the thing. At that point, focus on your pulse, on your heartbeat. What have we got here? Thank you very much, Sir Storm. As you guys can tell, I am not what you would consider, shall we say, religiously educated. Storm has just informed me it's the Muslim what is it here? The Muslim worshippers that touch their forehead to the ground. Okay. And again, there is no right or wrong way to do this. Okay. But get the energy flowing properly, get yourself relaxed, focus on that one word, heal. Okay. Now, at that point, I feel for my heartbeat. I do not bother reaching to check to see my pulse at my carotid or at the wrist. I simply concentrate so I can feel it beat. You concentrate for half a moment in silence, you'll be able to feel your pulse as well. Okay. As you feel it, track it out as far as you can. Now, I kid you not, in my case, I can feel my pulse at the end of my hair. Now, clearly, I don't have blood flow in my hair, but blood moving does create a shock wave, and that's what I end up tracking. Now, you let that energy flow, and this is why you put your feet on the ground. Okay, you either put your feet solidly on the ground, or you sit on something that is naturally on the ground, i.e., a couch, a heavy recliner, something that you cannot easily pick up. And you visualize all the excess energy, all the negative energy running out of your body and into the ground. Linking yourself to the core of the earth via roots running all the way from the soles of your feet straight to the core of the earth. Now, in my case, I do it all the way from the knee. Okay, I've got little tendrils that run all the way to the core of the earth. And of course, since you're working with your hands and your feet, okay, and in many people's cases with your forehead, all of these links are draining off the negative energy. Now, the reason you focus on the word heal is because your body already knows what's wrong. It knows what's working. And meditation is a way of getting in touch with your higher self, with your natural body. Now, the thing is, as Cosmic pointed out, Cosmic turns around and as he put it, he does near-death experience that way. Okay, and I see we're missing some people here, or I didn't welcome them in. Renee Andrews, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Sorry about the mix-up last night. Forgot it was Thanksgiving and ended up going over to my ex's for Thanksgiving. Yes, amazingly enough, we still get along quite well. And do I have anybody else here? Nope, that would seem to be it for the moment. But we do have 7 listening in right now. Now, when you're meditating, you can do just about anything you'd like, as far as what you're focusing on. I focus on healing. However, you can use meditation to access your healing rate, to gain better insight into where your business is going or what your home life is going to look like, what you can do to make it better. Because understand, all the meditation, all the positive affirmations, all the prayers in the world are absolutely 100% useless if you don't get off your tail feathers and make a move and do something to help it happen. Where are we here? Oh, there you go. Just making sure I don't miss something. Again, guys, I'm working with a small screen, so for pity's sakes, please, if you've got questions or even if you've got comments that you desire me to see, put them in all caps. I'm doing my best, but the reality is my eyesight ain't that great. But meditation, by relaxing yourself, by bringing yourself into a quiet state of mind, you'll find you think a whole lot better. And yes, even when I'm meditating, I like being able to see what I'm doing. I don't like what I look like, but even when I'm meditating, I have a clipboard handy. So if a thought comes to mind, I can jot it down. Okay. And it won't be, in all fairness, it may break your concentration the first few times you do it. You got to remember, I've been doing this for 60 years and then some. But that is the easiest way I know of to meditate. Okay. Yes, you can. Some people chant, some people hum. I know the lotus position a lot of people swear by. I just find it dislocates both my knees. And this really screws up my concentration level. But by focusing on what the outcome is you're aiming for, you will have a much higher shot at attaining your goals. The other thing you'll find with meditation, and this is why you do it when you're wide awake. Let's say you get into a comfortable position and you lay and you sit down, you lean back and you relax. Unfortunately, if you do this when you're tired, the odds are really good you're going to fall asleep, which does, by the way, have the benefit of leaving you feeling really rested afterwards. Okay, but you may not get a lot of information. This is why you do it when you're wide awake. And again, you sit down. Now, I work with my hands. And the other catch to this is this. If you've got your hands together, okay, and you just put them, just like I said, 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch apart. As the energy field gets stronger, you separate them. Now, let's say, as in my case, you've got a bad knee. You take your hands, you concentrate, keep on that word heal, keep tracking your heartbeat, okay, and separate your hands as far as you can. Now, when you get in the case of a bad knee, I separate my hands about, I don't know how wide that is, but about that far apart. Then I take my hands, and while I'm meditating, while I'm focusing on the word heal, I run those hands down, one on either side of the knee. Okay. Now, if you picture this water bottle, and here's, I'll add something to this in a sec. Picture that as my knee. Okay. I put my hands together and I separate them enough while I'm feeling the energy running between them. I slowly run my hands down on either side of the knee. Keep a focus on that energy flow. It'll slow down as it penetrates the knee, as it penetrates the wound. Okay. Now, yes, those of you that are heavily caught into religious practices may consider this blasphemy. You're welcome to it. As I said, I am very much, in my eyes, I'm very much a Christian. Okay. And the way I see it, God created everything, including meditative techniques, and for that matter, every religion and spiritual path that's out there. So, run your hands down the outside of the limb, but of the wound. But you keep the word heal in mind. Now, what this does is it runs the healing energy through your hands. Now, understand, with meditative energy, It runs both directions at once. Okay. Now, that energy picks up all the negative stuff. And remember, you're bleeding the negative out through the bottom of your feet, right to the core of the earth. Okay. Now understand, Esau, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, she requires the negative energy to keep a balance with the positive and the neutral. So she's putting it to use anyway. Okay. But as you do that, you're likely to find yourself feeling a little lighter, because the more energy you run through you during meditation, during prayer, during positive affirmation, the lighter you're going to physically start to feel. Now, there are some interesting side effects that may occur, not the least of which is you may lose track of the chair upon which you're sitting. Okay, not to worry, this is normal. Okay, but I will tell you, the first time it happens, you're likely to be popped back in one heck of a hurry. It's likely to break your concentration. If you've already got beyond that, this is a great thing. Okay, but you'll notice every spiritual path out there has some form of prayer, some sort of a ritual to draw people together, to draw yourself back into balance with nature. That is all meditation, prayer, and positive affirmation really focuses on. It's not the only purpose, but it is the ultimate outcome. No matter what religion, what gender, what orientation, what political alignment, doesn't make any difference. Meditation works like gravity. It doesn't care how you feel. Money does the same thing. It all works the same for everybody. Now, there is a neat little catch here. You got to at least accept the fact that it's possible. Because if you sit there going, this isn't going to work, I'll tell you right off the bat, you're going to find it very difficult to feel anything. Now, you may well go, oh, you're just saying you're talking about that. And what you're doing is you're telling us to imagine we've got this going on. And newsflash, I am. Because the imagination is the key to the higher senses. You got to accept that it's possible for you to do it, before you're likely to get out of your own way. Because whether you believe you can, and I see that Storm had popped it up on the screen, if your mind can conceive it, if your heart can believe it, you can achieve it. Now, these are axioms I go by. Okay. These are also axioms I will be putting on t-shirts down the road as soon as I can afford them. But the other one that I look at is whether you believe you can or you believe you can't. In either event, you're likely to prove yourself correct. Okay. So it's really important from your standpoint, at least as far as I'm concerned, that you at least accept the fact that this is possibly a way to open the door. Now, meditation is a great way. You've heard the idea that somebody said, if you get really stressed out, close your eyes and count to 3. This is a very fundamental, very rudimentary form of meditation. It helps you get centered so you don't let your mouth run wild. And Lord knows I should do that more. Unfortunately, my mouth usually goes into gear before my brain catches up. Now, yes, it is literally a question. When you look at meditation, the one thing you do want that it would be advisable to piece together is, why are you looking to meditate? Are you looking to enhance your life, or are you looking to escape your life? Either one will work. Okay, because your mind is a phenomenal thing. Okay, you've got a lot of options available. Okay, a lot of doors can be opened, but you're the one that, once you get those doors open, you're going to have to get off your tail feathers and make things happen. Okay. And again, one thing I will caution you on. Do your best not to let yourself believe meditation is difficult. Honestly, it's one of the simplest things to do. Get this. When you're a child, kids are always told they've got a wonderful imagination. Oh, look, Junior is daydreaming again. Daydreaming is a form of meditation. Okay, it is a fabulous way of letting your mind take off and go to places where you didn't think you could get to. Okay, now, you know, have you ever dreamed about walking? And I mean, dreamed as in your mind, gone, gee, I'd love to be able to walk on a tightrope. Lord knows I have, but with my balance, I have trouble walking and standing straight. Never mind walking. Now, what do we got here? There we are. Storm goes, to me, lotus position means someone perverts word perfect to MS Word. No problem with that, Storm. Lord knows I get way too serious on occasion. And I will be so happy when we find the docking station. I know it's here. Once I do, we'll upgrade the screen so I can actually see and I don't have to look so close at it. Uh-oh. Yeah, LA Moon goes, oh my God, I understood that and laughed my butt off with it. Where are we here? Did I miss anybody? No, not by the look of it. Now, I see we're starting to grow numbers and listeners. Oh, look at that. We are at 696. We are 4 away from 700 in case you can't do the math. I don't worry too much about the numbers anymore. It's just a point of reference. Okay. It's very much like my glucose count now that I've been diagnosed with diabetes. I worry about it as a reference. So I got something to target. Okay. One of the things with meditation is figure out what you're aiming for. Now, when there was a chap in Vietnam, okay, he got caught out, he got into a POW camp. Before he was captured, before he went to Vietnam, the guy could not play golf. Period. But in order to survive Vietnam, the POW camp, then I talked to this guy personally. Okay, I do not recall his name, but then I don't recall half the people's name I talked to. But this guy, he spent all of his waking time meditating on the perfect golf stroke. Okay, he visualized it in his mind and focused on that outcome. Okay, by the time he got out of the POW camp and got home, when he got home, he went to the golf course and teed off. And the first thing that happened was he got his hole in one. Okay, this was because of meditative focus. Now, you can call it meditative, you can call it prayer. If you desire to say, by whatever name, okay, the only one I recommend you don't do really strongly. I knew a kid growing up that used to pray to a light bulb. Don't do that. This is a bad idea. Okay, but whatever name you use, I use God. If you desire to ask God for help in attaining whatever goal you have, in stabilizing your health, if you desire him, her, it, whatever, to help draw wealth to you, be clear what wealth is. Do you consider wealth money or material stuff or a feeling here? Okay, myself, I consider wealth here. Okay, peace of mind, peace of heart. And I'll tell you, for the first time in my life, I'm a mess physically, but for the first time in my life, I feel really good about the path I'm on. Ken Stockler, how are we doing? Glad you could join us. One of the things we have to remember with meditation is it is a way, it is a simple, universal, and when I say universal, I do mean off-world, ancient races, humans, all of them, all people meditate in one form or another. It is a universal method of getting in touch with your life force and thereby moving forward. Okay, even if you're caught in a bad addiction. And yes, positive affirmations I absolutely encourage. Okay. One of the things I did find is that whether or not you say you're having a good day or a bad day, whichever one you're focusing on, that's what you're drawing. Okay, that's what you're putting the flame into. Now, I believe it is a North American Indian proverb, I could be wrong, that says, inside every person there are two wolves, one good and one bad. Now, the one that's going to grow is the one you feed. So if you focus on being negative, which Lord knows I spent decades doing, okay, if you focus on being negative, it's going to slow down your ability to heal. Okay, now by burying it, it creates a problem. Again, meditation is a great way to bleed off that negative energy. And yes, absolutely, if you have a partner, whether it is a life partner, a family member, a really good friend, you guys, I really encourage you to share the trials and tribulations, because talking to each other is a form of conscious meditation. I know people probably looking at me going, no, that's communication. Meditation is connecting with your higher self, with the higher energies. Communication is connecting, and you'll notice the similarity there. Connecting with the people and or animals around you. Oh, okay. Yeah, LA Moon is just going several different tribes claim the proverb. And this is why I say there are several religions that say live by the golden rule. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay. And that's just a karmic law. It's one of the three. Okay, if you look at the top of the chat room, you'll see it anyway. But the three laws I follow, and even when I had my conversation with God himself, they apply to everybody, the gods included. Okay, be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And energy out, energy in. Okay, but remember, all three of these are equally important. It's kind of like the three legs on a three-legged stool. With meditation, it's the same thing. Wherever you sit down and meditate on, absolutely focus solidly on it. Some people you've heard of automatic writing, I presume. And some people, what they do is they'll sit down while they're meditating, they will write what's going through their head. Now, I personally don't do that much because it comes out bad. For me, if I close my eyes, I can't write straight at all. Mind you, if I turn the lights off, I can't walk straight either. But meditation is a way of getting in touch with your higher energies, with your own life force to turn it around. And since Ken has entered the room and mentioned he is unfortunately suffering from the flu, Ken, this is literally directly to you and anybody else suffering from an illness. Okay, you sit down, put your hands towards each other, focus on the word heal. Okay, and let the energy run through your whole body. Let it run out through the soles of your feet, right to the core of the earth. you'll feel that flu, that illness pass, go away quicker. Now, this said, if you are in the care of a doctor or if you go to doctors, absolutely, this is meditative healing is done in conjunction with your doctors, with your religious leaders. Okay, it is done in conjunction with the other processes you already know. Remember, all things are connected. One of the best things that I found happen, and in many spiritual paths, people talk about a healing circle. This works beautifully. A meditative circle is another word for it, because what you're doing is focusing on the higher energies and thereby circling that through everybody with the enhanced energy. Now, if you work with electrical work at all with batteries, you'll understand the concept of a cascade battery or of the added charge. Now, don't ask me to explain the electrical side. I leave that to electricians. However, here's the neat thing. In a meditative circle, okay, like I said, you put your hands towards each other if you're doing it on your own. When you're doing it with somebody, okay, and it doesn't matter which one, but it is best if you all do it the same way. Okay, so for instance, put the right hand facing down and the left hand facing up. And let's pop that in here so I can see what I'm doing. So you got the right hand facing down and the left hand facing up. Okay, now if you've just got two people, you put them out this way. The other person puts their right hand underneath yours, or their left hand underneath your right, and vice versa. So you're going to have to imagine, because as you can see, I'm not here with more than one person. And if you've had that much to drink, you might want to consider a different pastime. What do we got? Now, if you've got a circle of people, you put your hands out beside you. Okay. And like I said, these are just simple techniques that work for everybody. And you don't even have to believe in the same philosophies as anybody else, except to accept the possibility that meditative healing will help you. Okay. And in the case of a circle, i.e., more than two people, you put your right hand out, palm down, and your left hand out, palm up. Okay. Now remember, if you desire to do it the other way, there's no problem. You can put your left hand out, palm down, and your right one out, palm up. Okay. Either way, match the hands with the opposite. Okay. Then what you'll feel is the energy start to cycle. And this is why you concentrate on the word heal. Because the more you focus on that, the stronger that energy flow will get. And yes, I know with some of you that are very religiously inclined, this is probably sounding very off center. Okay. And you're welcome to that thought. Okay. I'm not trying to convince anybody to do that this is better than your method. This is simply the method I use. Okay. And yes, I am doing my best to get that written out as well. I got so many projects on the go, it's just, well, frankly, cumbersome. And of course, since I came out of the hospital, seems every 3 days I have another setback. Okay, last one was I tried leaning over too far and holding my balance, fell over, and screwed up my healing and screwed up my ribs again. Slowed everything down. It does not play well. However, meditation is a great way to get yourself balanced. okay, to get back in touch with the path you desire to be on. Now, I'm not the one to tell you what path is best for you, but I will tell you, when you're looking at meditation, if somebody tells you that's evil, ask them this: if it's evil, why was it created? Okay. Now, and again, if it's helping you, how can it be evil if it's not hurting anybody else? And yes, that is something that kind of opens the door to something called energy vampires. We'll get to those on a different day. Okay. But where it comes to meditation, again, put your hands together. Now, I said this at the beginning of the show because, well, frankly, that's where we started. But this is in case you came in late. Okay. Or in case you didn't get a chance to listen to the whole thing. Take your hands, put them towards each other, about a quarter inch to an inch apart. Focus and feel the energy running between them. Undoubtedly, in my eyes, you'll feel something. Now, you may feel kind of magnetic push. Maybe you feel heat. Okay. Maybe you feel a breeze. I heard one person tell me they felt bubbles, kind of like putting your hand on top of a jet stream. Okay, like of a water jet. You focus on that. Let the word heal run through your head. And while you're doing that, track your pulse. In other words, feel with your mind your heartbeat. Now, I can feel my heart. Of course, I've been doing it for decades. If all you can do is feel your heart, you're still on the right path. Okay? But reach out as far as you can with it. Okay? You let that energy run and feel the excess, the negative energy, because it's going to cycle from your crown all the way through your entire body, out through the soles of your feet, straight to the core of the earth. And then it's going to bring back up positive energy. This is how the body heals. This is how every body heals. Okay? Even the grass and the trees heal the same way. They just have a different form of consciousness that humans don't really recognize. Now, the one thing I will tell you is meditation on its own is not as useful as you might think. Okay? Again, meditation, positive affirmations, prayer, they all are doing the same thing. They are simply using a different word. Okay? But the energy is the same. So whether you sit in a prayer circle, or you dance in a prayer circle, or you put your hands together on your own, or or you kneel down and touch your forehead to the ground, all of these methods are other forms of reconnecting with the higher energies, with the planet, and yourself and your own body itself. All of these, if you believe that God created everything, all of these were created for the same purpose. So you can utilize every tool available to heal. Now, understand, I've taken these methods even by focusing when I couldn't put both hands together. Okay, I generated that same feeling by generating the field on the ends of my fingers, and then doing the same thing by utilizing meditation in that form. I took my hand and I broke my arm several years ago. They told me I'd be 4.5 to 6 months healing it. I did go to the doctor, I did what the doctor said, etc. But in addition, I took my hand, generated the energy field around my arm, and ran it up and down. I kid you not, this is medically documented. I ended up healing that my healing accelerated to the point that broken bone was totally healed within 9 days. Okay, Every one of you, no matter what your position in life, no matter what your business, what your career, what your belief, every single one of you has the capacity to heal, to meditate and get a clearer picture of where your life is going. Every one of you does. That said, if you're having trouble with it, if you go to the link at the top of the screen, to the Buy Me a Coffee link, okay, buymeacoffee.com/Inner Voice J, you will find every book I've written and a way to get in touch with me directly. Okay, and yes, for those of you that have tried and I haven't been in touch, last couple of months has been a nightmare. Something to do with the good thing, getting married, the bad thing, ending up dead. Kind of an extreme line, but I am getting back to those now. One of the things with meditation that you got to remember is it is designed for the sole or for the primary purpose of helping you make the most of your life. But in order to do that, you're going to have to get off your tail. LA goes, if I'm not sure of a source, I let God show me. I also learned finally not to second guess myself or him. And I'll tell you, that's one of the hardest lessons to learn there, LA. I myself, when I was put into an induced coma, my body immediately went into a meditative state to try and figure out what was wrong, which is why I came out of it going, okay, I spent my life going, I'm putting in time, not realizing how much damage that would, still broken ribs, not realizing how much damage and how much pain that was causing to other people. But I came out of that looking at it going, now it's time to live. And yes, I am meditating quite consciously on a daily basis to get my head on straight and to make things happen. I strongly encourage you to do the same thing. Now, I will be putting this on paper as quick as I can. Unfortunately, I'm not giving you a time frame on that. Way too many things get me sidetracked lately. Where are we here? Oh, there. Now, what is tomorrow? Don't think I've got that open. Okay, I'm not entirely certain what I'm working with tomorrow. I never got that far. Again, I'm having health problems. This is not an excuse. This is just the reality of it. But we will be looking at self-help tomorrow in one capacity or another. It's time for us to reclaim power over our lives. If you are of the inclination to go, I'm going to turn my life over to God or to whoever else you want to call, that is your prerogative. Okay? But it's time for us to quit turning around and pointing the finger at other people and saying it's their fault we're having trouble. It's time to really sit down, focus on your own life, start meditating. Absolutely. Sit in a comfortable position, okay, while you're wide awake, and focus your attention on the solution to whatever complication you're having. But remember, all communication between all parties, I've never seen a variation, is invariably a 50-50 effort, which means if you're putting all the effort in that you can, doesn't matter. If they're not putting any effort in, it's not going to work. And LA's just let us know we're down to the last 10 minutes here. Okay, I am doing my best to keep an eye on things and to change the way that things are going so that on here at least, I can become a little more organized again. The more organized you are, meditation will help with this immensely. The more focused you are on the outcome you're aiming for, the better off you are, and the more smoothly things will come together. Remember, For those of you that feel you're not doing your part or that you're a burden, as my own son put it to me the other day, after I came out of the hospital, I was feeling very much a burden. And I told my son, I says, I made the comment to him that I'm a burden, and he looks at me and goes, Dad, it's up to me to decide if I'm a burden, if you're a burden. Okay? Where it comes to meditation, it is up to you to decide whether or not meditation, prayer, positive affirmations, or a combination thereof, if any one of those is working. It's up to you to decide whether it's helping. If you feel it is, bottom line, it is. Now, I'm going to go sideways for a half moment. There has been medical proof that through the medical society that if they take true medication and they give it to people and they give them a placebo, in other words, basically a sugar pill, tell them it's real medication, they will heal just as fast in many cases. Now, there are exceptions, and this is why I say, if you're ill, go talk to a doctor. Point blank, if I hadn't gone to a doctor with the blood clot it turned out I had, I wouldn't have been at the hospital when I died. Okay, now, one of the nice things about it is everything we've just talked about is literally, it all is connected. And what you take from this, hopefully whatever you take from this is helpful. Okay, if you've got questions, absolutely drop me a line. I'm making an absolute focus on getting everything caught up. My apologies, last month, August, I was involved in getting married. September, I was involved in almost getting buried. There's a little bit of a hiccup there. So, at this point, and we are down to that. So, at this point, I want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Understand meditation, prayer, positive affirmation, prayer circles, healing circles, they all work. They're all different words for the same thing. Okay, so thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. I will see you again tomorrow. But until then, at 8 p.m. Pacific, right here on YouTube. Now, until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.